Mavis Linneman Clark. I'm the chef and a fearless leader of the Delish Dish Catering and Events, as well as Made by Mavis Artisan Jams and Jellies. I got my start with catering actually when I moved to Chicago, and I started hosting dinner parties. I'd already fallen in love with cooking. I loved baking when I was younger, and I started hosting dinner parties because I didn't know anyone in Chicago to make friends. And so that's a really good way to make friends if you don't know anyone, is to feed them dinners. And so I started hosting these dinners, and then I found myself cooking any free moment I had. I was working as a freelance journalist at the time, and eventually I was spending so much more time cooking than actually doing my journalism work that I woke up one day and said, I need to go to culinary school, which my parents didn't love since I'd just gotten my college degree, but I knew I had to do it. So I went to culinary school in Chicago and majored in catering and personal chef. And just fell in love with catering. So I knew I wanted to move back to Cincinnati at the end of culinary school because my family was already here. I had a great network here in Cincinnati, and I knew I could be a big fish in a small pond rather than, Chicago is such a huge place. I would get lost there. There's so many chefs. So I moved back to Cincinnati to start my catering company. I was a one-woman operation for the first year and a half, doing it all out of my home. Then I found Bad Girl Ventures, which is a local nonprofit that is a business education and micro funding organization for women-owned businesses. And Bad Girl completely changed the way that I looked at my business, and it went from being a hobby to being a full-blown corporation or company, I guess. And so after Bad Girl Ventures, I managed to find a new incubator that was opening here in Cincinnati or Northern Kentucky, called the Northern Kentucky Incubator Kitchen. And I moved there the week that it opened, and that was 3 years ago, actually, this month, September. So I've been in the incubator for 3 years now. My team has grown from me being a one-woman show to now I have 6 full-time employees and 30 part-timers who help us with events. And so during this time, I also I fell in love with canning jams and jellies when I lived in Chicago. And I taught myself how to can. And I just started making really fun, unique flavors of jams and jellies that you couldn't find anywhere else. So instead of doing peach, I was doing peach lavender. Instead of doing cranberry, I was doing cranberry pear chutney. Instead of raspberry, I was doing dark chocolate raspberry. And I started giving them to friends as gifts. And so people just loved them. And so at the same time as I started my catering company, I just started selling or giving away these jams and jellies. And then people asking to order them to give to their family and friends until I finally had another business. I was making an ungodly amount of jam. And so I decided I'm going to launch a jam company. So 2.5 years into the Delish Dish, I launched Made by Mavis Jams and Jellies at the Holiday Market and Specialty Food Show here in Cincinnati. And people just wigged out over them. They loved them. So I rebranded, got a really cute new jar, and now we're in almost 100 retail locations across Cincinnati, Ohio, and Kentucky, and Indiana. So currently now I have 2 companies, the Delish Dish and Made by Mavis, all run by the same 2 teams. As I mentioned, I got connected with SCORE in Bad Girl Ventures, where I was paired with a SCORE mentor. And that was my first experience with realizing, whoa, there's all these free services for entrepreneurs, of educated business people who've been there and done it and can help me with all facets of business. So as soon as I found SCORE, I knew I found a gem. And I loved my new mentor, Carlin Stam, and he has been working with me now for, almost 3 years. And Carlin has been instrumental to my business. He's been there for me to cry, put my head on his shoulder and cry. He's been there when I needed help with financing. He's been there helping me with marketing. He and my other mentor from the Small Business Development Center, Rebecca Volpe, have both been, my business would be nowhere near where it is today without them, without their support, their guidance, financial projections. No one likes to do those. They've really just changed the way that I do business and made me a better businesswoman and more astute, and really helped me get my name out in the community. I have big dreams for the Delish Dish Catering and Events and Made by Mavis Artists and Jams. We have been in the incubator now for 3 years, and actually for the past year and a half, I've been looking for a kitchen for us to hatch out of this incubator so we can have our own space. And we are currently under contract on a project, so I'm really hoping this new building will go through, and in the next 6 to 8 months we will have a brand new commercial kitchen facility out of which we can operate the Delish Dish with my bigger company, as well as Made by Mavis. And once we have our own space, we'll really be able to also host events for the community and help other entrepreneurs in our space. And really take our business to the next level. We've been growing year after year, almost 200%. So as you can imagine, we're kind of busting at the seams in our current space. So this will really allow us to hire additional people and grow our business and be able to cater more events at venues all over the city, as well as bring our artisan jam to even more locations outside of the Midwest and possibly nationally over the next few years. So we look forward to seeing what the future brings for us.